Hey everyone, Colt here for MMOHuts.com, and today we're taking a first look at Mu Legend, an isometric action MMORPG from WebZen. The game's been in open beta here in the States since November 7th, and I've spent the last 12 hours or so getting wrist deep in the thing to see how it handles. When you first boot up the game, Mu Legend kicks off with a great looking animated cutscene to get you up to speed. Not to sound like an ad, but pretty is a word I'll probably use a lot during this video. The game is gorgeous. Anyway, once you're past the opening, you're off to make your character. You'll have 3 slots to make characters in the beginning, but you can purchase more from the in-game store if you feel the need. The Dark Lord is a heavy-hitting tank with tons of health and AoE crowd control potential. This is the primary class I focused for most of my time, so it's mainly what I'll be covering. Blader is another melee class that focuses on big-time damage while maintaining a fair amount of survivability. Not a real tank, but certainly qualifies for bruiser status. War Mages are glass cannon AoE damage specialists, lots of elemental magic and teleporting. Whisperers are ranger-style damage dealers with traps, bows, and nature magic. Spellbinders are crowd control support specialists. They focus on debuffing enemies and buffing allies from the back line. Also available from the class selection screen is a recommended build guide that shows you each of the class's main specializations and recommends skills and stats to build into for the best results. Once you've chosen your class, you get to access the customization suite. I use the term suite loosely though, as there really isn't a lot to do here. You can choose from around 8 faces and as many hairstyles. You can change the colors of your hair, which is nice I guess, and each of the classes has their own unique set of hairstyles to pick from. Mu then throws you into its tutorial, but not as a beginner. Mu teaches you how combat should work for your class by putting you in control of a level 100 character with a player-chosen spec and maxed stats and gear. You get a clear picture of how your skills will look and feel at max power, but in an environment where you don't have to know how everything works just yet. Completing the tutorial sees your character defeated by the God of Evil, but before the final blow is struck, you tear open a portal in time and head back to the past. You lose your memories and all your power, and spend the game trying to unlock the secrets of your future past and regain your true strength. Not the most original storytelling, but it works well for the setting. From here, the gameplay is standard MMO fare with an ARPG twist. You complete quests of killing X amount of monsters and right-clicking world objects to advance the plot and unlock new skills. There's also a useful feature worth mentioning in regards to quest givers. If you open your quest log and click on a quest, you can replay NPC dialogue to check for details you missed or to try to keep up with the story. Completing these quests and killing things grants you 2 different types of XP, Character XP and Soul XP. Each character level raises your base stats and helps you meet gear and dungeon level requirements. Each Soul level gives you points you can spend on specific stats. Think of these like runes from League of Legends. Each point alone isn't worth a ton, but when you add them up into useful stats, it can be a huge difference maker. You also level up your skills by using them in combat. Skills have 3 tiers, and unlocking each grants a skill crest slot, where you can socket a crest to gain a specific bonus to that skill. You can slot in bonuses to things like cooldown reduction, mana cost reduction, power, defense penetration, and all kinds of other stats. Those aren't the only skills you'll have access to either. As you level, you'll gain access to what are called expert skills. There are 3 in total per character. They're granted at level 25, 45, and 65, and they're earned by completing a quest or dungeon. Each grants you passive bonuses intended for a certain specialization, but they also include a usable skill. Usually, this is one of the class's endgame staples. The combat itself is par for the course with ARPGs. You use your skills and your auto attacks to build combos and kill monsters. Standard monsters out in the world don't pose much of a threat unless they're in large groups. Bosses are where the real challenge is, especially when you're in multiplayer dungeons. These bosses spawn in their own separate rooms with no respawn points. If you run out of resurrection stones during the fight, you're sent back to the last checkpoint and you'll lose all your progress on that boss. The rewards are often worth it though, with bosses dropping rare items frequently as well as item cubes that will grant you another random piece of loot. If you should find your pockets overflowing with loot, especially the wrong kinds of loot, you can take them into town to have them dismantled into crafting elements. The game's crafting system is straightforward and simple. You get crafting stuff from monsters and from dismantling items. You can use those to craft recipes you know. It doesn't make things harder than they need to be. There are also a handful of PvP modes in the game, but your success in these is mostly reliant on whether or not you have enchanted gear, so I didn't feel brave enough to try them. MMO Legend offers another welcome change to the standard Diablo formula in the way of mounts. Getting around the rather large area maps is somewhat tedious in the early going. Once you get your mount around level 20 though, it goes a lot faster. You also unlock pets around that time which will not only follow you but actually fight with you too. This came in handy for my Dark Lord as the extra damage was super useful. The progression in the game overall goes at a standard rate. In the 12 plus hours I've played so far, I've been able to level 2 characters to level 30. The game's cap is 100, but it wouldn't take super long to get there. That said, this is where the game's monetization gets in the way of itself somewhat. Most of the cash shop items are cosmetics, mounts, skins for your wings, and costumes. Pretty harmless. However, you can subscribe to a gold or platinum tier service and receive bonus rewards. The gold tier isn't so bad. At most, it grants you an extra tab in your personal inventory and the ability to access things like mail and your stash remotely. You also net some discounts for in-game auctions and trading. Platinum tier is where things start to go off the rails a little bit. Platinum service nets you everything in the gold tier as well as 5% bonus damage to monsters, 30% bonus soul XP, and 20% increased uncommon item drop rate. That might seem like drops in the bucket, but they are gameplay affecting, so whether that's a deterrent is at your discretion. You can also buy imprint scrolls, which grant additional bonus stats to your gears. Granted, you can get incomplete imprint scrolls as drops from monsters, but it's a lot less common than you might think. At the end of the day, these aren't substitutes for skill. All they really amount to is slightly faster character growth and PvE advancement. Again though, whether you view this as a problem or not is entirely up to you. If this sounds like something you want to get in on, you can head over to the game's website and take part in the currently ongoing open beta. Webzen has recently announced they're adding more servers to support the huge influx of new players they've been getting, so expect some brief periods of maintenance through the next week or so depending on when you're seeing this. Well, that's all for today. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe and keep it locked on MMOHuts.com for all the latest gaming news and reviews.